Well, I told y'all this was going to be one heck of a ride, and that first game was one heck of a ride. What are my thoughts on it? What do I think the Browns should have been able to clean up? What encouraged me from this game, and much more? Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that and more, but before I get into that, I want to make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload a ton of content coming out. I'll be doing a live watch party of the game versus the Houston Texans and a post-game show no later than 30 minutes after the game ends. So if you want to be there for those live streams, make sure you're subscribed and notified. Also, if you just want to be here for the content that's going to come out throughout the week, a ton of content pretty much daily, make sure you're subscribed here. Make sure you're locked in. I also want to give a shout out to the Patreon.com dog check tier members. I'm going to start with Michael Mateek, Michael Morales, Mark Kahn, Max Haymaker, Drake, Nick Merrick, Mike Labra, Wesson Megan, DA, and Jay. Greg Ehlers, Austin Bolin, Easley Bash, Joe Hart, Gabriel Wilson, Fred Pratt III, David Valtiara, Relentless Buck, Chunt, Rex Kaufman, Kevin Johnston, Cleveland Cart, Matt H, Sign Sheets, Gemini, Lewin Freeman, Fight Dirty 74, Yo-Yo, Matt Lloyd, Paul Wilcox, Hundo Magnifico, Kyle Stouffer, Lukey from Munich, Deveroff, J Guy 101, Musty Taco, Joe Bobby, Brad Cowboy, Dylan W, James McGinley, Arendal, Chad Gimme, David Maldonado, Dylan Hill, Josh Bendor, Jalil Salim Jr., Mark M, Stuart Moore, Cleveland BCI, Robert Jermaine Jr., Dave Mike May, Andrew Hirsch, Curtis Bear, Batman, Barack Kumar, John Albert, Beerman069, Masayua, Buzzer Roland, James Nemo, Mac House, Reeve Hertz, Philip Wilcox, Marie River, Sean Barron, Gagos Pisano, Corporal Nick Lopez, Dom Gazzola, Nick Nasty, Ian Whitaker, Colin 216, Christian, Dave Strong, Michael Stone, Billy Moose Gentry, Austin Z, Mark Burnett II, Andre Griffin, Otis Wolf, Dog Pound Kai, Lydia, Jesus Serrano, Alexander Davis, Chris Phones, Picktown Browns backer, Max Nilikenko, Mark Khan, Max Aldojo, and Water Bear Marketing. Again, guys, thank you so much for your support. It means a ton. Also, if you are a Patreon member, you get access to call in during the live post-game shows. So if that sounds like something interesting to you, make sure you check it out. But without further ado, let's jump into this video and this recap. So I have seen the gambit of blame be thrown out there on social media through a multitude of parties, right? There's some people who want to blame Baker because he threw the interception at the end of the game. Some people want to blame Joe Woods, which I don't think is fair, but I'll get into that. And there's some people who want to blame the punter. I think this was a game that the Browns could have easily won, but they just made too many mistakes. Now, to put this in context, right, we're normally talking about this kind of performance when the Browns are playing a team like the Jets or like the Jaguars, a team that's not very good, and then they make some mistakes and they end up shooting themselves in the foot. It is another thing and another level to do this against the Kansas City Chiefs and make these mistakes and still almost win the football game. So the level of talent on this team is amazing, and it's going to be hard for a lot of teams to beat. So this is going to be a very good football team. But nonetheless, they made too many mistakes. What was the first mistake? Nick Chubb fumbling. Now, it was a freak fumble. The helmet pushed it out. I think it was Njoku's helmet that pushed that ball out. Hey, what are you going to do there? Sometimes a fumble just happens. Nick Chubb doesn't fumble often. He fumbled there. All right, so that was that. But the defense did show up, and, they didn't stop the Chiefs from putting up points, but you stopped them to a field goal. And on a turnover, that's a win. That's a win for the defense. It's pretty good for the defense. Then Jamie Gillian fumbles the snap for a punt inexplicably. Like, he just dropped it. He wasn't rushed. He wasn't, had somebody in his face. The man just dropped the punt, and he dropped the punt, gave the Chiefs the ball in the 15-yard line, and that's automatic 7 points. I don't care. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. You give them the ball on the 15-yard line, that's automatic 7 points. So Chiefs score 7 points on it. It's 10 points right there. Baker throws an interception. Now, the decision to throw the ball, 100% sound. If he would have taken that sack there, I would have had questions about his decision-making, to be honest with you. But he throws the ball. Now, I don't know if he was trying to make a play there or if he was just trying to get out of bounds and he just didn't have enough on the ball once he got tripped up to get it out of bounds. I don't know what it was there. If it were the latter and he were just trying to make a play, he learned that sometimes you don't need to make that play, right? But he throws the ball, gets picked off. It's unfortunate, but those are like 4 mistakes. Ronnie Harrison getting into the thing on the sideline. I don't know what happened there. That's another mistake. You made so many mistakes, and the Chiefs didn't. Chiefs didn't make any mistakes, and they squeaked out of here with a 4-point win. That tells you how good this football team is. They made some mistakes. They could have made one less mistake in this game. They would have won this game. Even though they made 3, even though they were positive in the turnover margin, whatever you want to call it. They were so close to winning this game, and they just didn't. And you don't get credit for close in football. Close doesn't show up on the record. But, when we're talking about the context of this and how this is going to lead into things later on in the season, I do think it matters. So that's really what lost you the game, right? Nick Chubb fumbles. That cost you 3 points. Jamie Gillian fumbles, that cost you 7 points. You don't capitalize on the opportunity before the second half to get points on the board. Instead, you get a penalty, and then a sack takes you 20 yards out of field goal range when you were right there. Don't capitalize on that opportunity, cost you 3 points. You could have made all those mistakes and more, and just not made those mistakes before the second half, you might have won this game. That's how good the Cleveland Browns were, and that's how close it can be in the NFL. Browns are a good team. I think you can make the argument that at least the team that played today was a lot more talented than Kansas City Chiefs. And that's something to say. But I think they were. I know some people are going to want to blame the defense because when you play the Kansas City Chiefs, your defense isn't going to look like it's the 85 Bears, right? And whenever the defense doesn't look like the 85 Bears, fans want to fire their offense or defensive coordinator, right? I think the defense did everything that they should have done. Like, you can have your complaints about certain things. I've seen people complaining about the John Johnson play where Patrick Mahomes was running like 20 miles per hour to the right and threw this thing across his body the opposite way, 40 yards down the field to a Tyreek Hill who was running just as fast on the opposite side of the field. You can't game plan for that. You can't do any, like, that's when in basketball, Kevin Durant makes a 3 in your face. That is like when LeBron James makes that turnaround jumper. You can play the best defense you want. Sometimes the offense is just a little bit better. And on those plays, the offense was just a little bit better, right? Kansas City is going to score. You're not playing the Bills. Well, not the Bills. You're not playing the Jaguars. Kansas City's going to put up points, right? So I heard people mad, oh, you think the defense did good. Kansas City scored 30 points. They gave Kansas City the ball 2 times, once in the 15-yard line, and they still got the stop to get the ball back at 2:40 left in the game. The defense was fine. I have no qualms with the defense. I thought Malik McDowell looked excellent to the point to where my concerns about the interior defensive line are not as severe as they were 3 weeks ago. So that's a great sign. Malik McDowell looks like the real deal there, and I like his fit there. And then I think Clowney looked excellent. I think Miles looked good. I know he didn't have the big stat day, but they were getting rid of the ball pretty quickly to avoid Myles Garrett because he was winning a lot of those one-on-one battles there. It's just he only got home one time. And again, the one time he did get home was massive. Like, if the Browns win that game, Myles might be one of the players of the game for that massive sack that he got there. So, I felt like they were fine. Denzel Ward was excellent. And I didn't hear Greg Newsom's name get called a lot, so that's pretty good. Troy Hill was fine. I think the linebackers were fine. I know a lot of people were complaining about Mack Wilson. I think he was all right. I wish I could have saw JOK more, but, it's the Browns. We know how Kevin Stefanski likes to move things slow. We're probably not going to see the full JOK till like 6 weeks into the season. So there was that. You were down to safety. I felt like the safety play was still fine. MJ Stewart was all right. I don't think the defense let you down in this game. Defense gave you a chance to win the game, even though the offense or the special teams kept making mistakes to keep the Kansas City Chiefs in this game, right? The fumble, the drop punt, not getting those, getting the penalties and getting backed up. It's just disappointing there. If there was one position group, and I think this is the only position group that was a little bit of a letdown, was the tackles. Now, Chris Hubbard, he gets a pass. He only let one play through, and it was Chris Jones. So I'm fine with that. Same thing with Jack Conklin, but the tackles didn't hold up as well in certain situations as you wanted them to. And I think if they would have held up a little bit better, you would have put a couple of more points up. I felt like the play calling was fine, even though I feel like we're at the point now in this offense where, look, I like that Chubb and Hunt are there, but I really think that we should lean on Baker Mayfield a lot more than we do. I think 28 passing attempts isn't enough. I felt like there were a couple of drives where they weren't moving the ball as well on the ground because Chris Jones was inside, and that if you would have just went with Baker, you probably could have went further down the field. I really think it's time that balance, and this isn't going to be popular to say, but I really think it's time for that balance when it comes to running past the tip more in the pass direction, because I just think Baker's ready. He was phenomenal today. Outside of the one play where, it's kind of a toss-up interception, like nobody who's serious and not a troll is going to be all upset about that interception, where he just was throwing it out of bounds and it got caught. So outside of that, he was excellent. He was excellent. He was the best player on the field when the Browns had the ball. So I think it's time to tip that the offense in the direction of leaning on Baker Mayfield more, even when he doesn't have his wide receivers out there, just because I think Baker Mayfield's that damn good at this point. So that's really the only takeaway from the offense. Special teams wise, look, McLaughlin looked kind of shaky out there on his extra point, but he made it. Gillian better never fumble another punt again in his life. That just can't happen. It can't happen. And the coverages for the special teams units were fine. This isn't a loss where you can blame it on one individual or one underperforming group of players. This is the loss that just happens on chance, on just a couple of bad breaks that happen in a game. And again, there are a couple of ways to take it. You can do the miserable, oh, woe is me Browns fan thing that, people have done when this team was sorry, but this team's not sorry anymore, so I don't see a need to do it, and say that the Browns are cursed and that they can never win. Or you can take the logical approach with this, which is the Browns made a ton of mistakes on the road against the best team in football, and the best team in football could only beat them by 4. So what does that tell you about this Cleveland Browns team? It tells you that they're pretty damn good and that you can expect a lot out of them. They have to clean up some things. They have to play a little bit more crisp, and obviously more mistake-free, right? But if Baker's going to play like that for the rest of the year, if the offense is going to play like that, hell, if the defense is going to play like that for the rest of the year, tons of wins are ahead of the Browns. This is a really good football team. And we'll see that versus the Texans, hopefully. We'll see that versus the Bears, hopefully. It's not going to be fun because literally, the Ravens haven't played yet, but all the other AFC teams have won, right? The Bengals won, the Steelers won. So they're going to be all giddy and you're not, and it's going to stink this week. This week's going to stink a little bit, but the season doesn't end in week 1 and the Super Bowl isn't in September. So it don't really matter until we get to that, and we'll see where we are at the end of the year, because I feel really good about this team. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Now that a few hours or the day has passed, has it kind of just, have you been able to let down and let go and kind of look and see the future for the team and what it is, or are you still down? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But again, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.